So, good evening, everyone. On behalf of Central Zoo Authority, I welcome everyone to episode 50 of Swimming Conservation. Today, we are delighted to spotlight one of the most captivating and diverse group of animals, bears. Our special guest for this episode is none other than Karthik Satyanarayan, co-founder and CEO of Wildlife SOS, also known as the Bearman of India, for his remarkable efforts to end the illegal practice of dancing sloth bears in India. In 1995, Karthik founded Wildlife SOS with co-founder Geeta Shishwani. The organization aims to assist wildlife conservation efforts in India by working in collaboration with the Government of India, state forest departments, and indigenous communities. Under his leadership, Wildlife SOS established world's largest rehabilitation center for sloth bear in Agra. This initiative led to the rescue and rehabilitation of 628 sloth bears from nomadic Kalandar tribes who used these bears for street performances. The bears were relocated to four dedicated rescue centers in Agra, Bangalore, Bhopal, and West Bengal. Wildlife SOS is also renowned for establishing India's first ever elephant hospital, showcasing the commitment to diverse wildlife conservation efforts. His work extends beyond rescue and rehabilitation. Wildlife SOS partners with Indian government to address the growing human sloth bear conflict through intervention, education, and awareness campaigns. He himself has served in various prestigious roles, including Honorary Wildlife Warden of Delhi, Member of State Wildlife Advisory Board of Uttar Pradesh, and Member of Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, among others. His contributions have been recognized with numerous awards, including Paryavaran Puraskar from the Government of India, the San Diego Zoo Global Conservation Medal for Conservation in Action, and Winston Constance Kindness Award from Australia. He has been invited as a speaker at esteemed venues around the world, including San Diego Zoo, Stockholm Zoo, House of Lords in the London, European Parliament in Brussels, Clinton Schools in USA, and Hunter College in New York. Please join me in welcoming Karthik Satyanarayan to Swimming Conservation. So it's an honor to have you with us today. We are looking forward to hear about your incredible journey and vital role. I'll just share the presentation.
Thank you very much, Apurva.
So is the screen visible?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Okay, so
Well, welcome everybody. I'd like to thank Central Zoo Authority for this opportunity to talk about sloth bears today with all of you. And I thank Apurva for her patience and for guiding us onto this WebEx. I'd like to move to the next slide. Thank you. So Wildlife SOS is an organization that I started in 1995. So we are nearly 30 years old. And the goal of this organization was to work in partnership with the Indian government to assist with conservation initiatives and nature protection. But alongside this, it was important for us to work with indigenous communities that exploited wildlife across India. Next, please. I'd like to very briefly talk about the journey that we've had over the last 30 years, from 1995 to 2024. Basically, the work of Wildlife SOS is that our teams work on a daily basis to save lives, and that's what we do. We save lives on an everyday basis, and we make a difference. So across India, Wildlife SOS has about 51 projects, and this includes about 15 wildlife rescue centers, rehab centers, transit facilities. And some of our focus areas are on converting poachers into protectors to try and get these people to stop doing illegal hunting. And Wildlife SOS in 1999 established the world's largest bear rehabilitation center for sloth bears. In 2018, we also established India's first elephant hospital and the first elephant ambulance as well. And in the past, I'm very proud to say that we have a very dedicated team of veterinarians, biologists, and an incredible team of directors and other staff. And we've been able to successfully rescue over 700 bears over 200 leopards and provide medical support to over 100 elephants so far. Alongside this, we've also been able to help rescue over 3,000 tribal families and support them through seed funding, skill development, and alternative livelihood. And I think this is one of the big USPs of our organization, where we work with communities and hold their hands and help them find a better way of life. We've provided education support to over 11,600 children. And each year, you'll all be very happy to know that we help over 12,000 animals, birds, and reptiles across India. Next slide, please. Next slide, please.
I request
like to-
participants to mute themselves, please.
So I'd like to start this talk by focusing on the conservation efforts for sloth bears in India. Of course, all of you might already know that we have 8 species of bears in the world, out of which 4 species of bears are found in India, of which we have the sloth bears, we have Asiatic black bears, brown bears, and we have the sun bears. Now, for today's talk, I'm going to focus on the sloth bears. I might make a passing reference to moon bears. And Wildlife SOS is fortunate to be working with 3 or 4 species already. And we hope to also add the 4th species, the sun bear, during the course of this year. Next slide, please. So this photo that you see is taken by a friend of mine called Aditya Dicky Singh in Ranthambore, who's unfortunately no more. But you can see how a sloth bear will fight a tiger. And in this case, there were actually 2 tigers, a male and a female, and the sloth bear had a cub. And you can see just on the back of the sloth bear, towards the back area, there's a small head of a cub who's clinging onto the mother. And this goes to show how ferocious, aggressive, and bold and courageous that a sloth bear can be. So they say these are the pit bulls of the bear world. And sloth bears are very, very shy, but when confronted or cornered, they can turn into a very aggressive protector. And this is what is very special about these bears. And while the name sloth bear makes it sound like a very sloppy, slothy, relaxed bear, they can be very goofy, but they can, when cornered, they can turn into a very incredibly powerful attacker. Next slide, please. Now, I'd like to talk about why sloth bears became so endangered in India. Many of you might have seen this practice of dancing bears. Now, this was a practice that has gone on for about 400 years. The photo that you see on the left is a baby bear, a bear cub that was, these bear cubs are usually harvested and taken away from their mothers. The mothers are killed, the cubs are snatched, and this continued for a very long time. And the background of this is that about 400 years ago, the Qalandar tribe entered India from Persia, and they were basically entertainers of the Mughal harem. And they would take their bears and their monkeys and go to old forts like Fatehpur Sikri in Agra, and then perform with these bears and get a few coins as a contribution or appreciation from the wives of the Mughal emperors. But that changed over time. And after the Mughal era ended, the Qalandar community continued to use their bears, and they were begging on the streets for earning a livelihood to support themselves. Now, when Wildlife SOS started, Geeta Seshamani, my founder, and we started investigations into finding out where these bears were coming from. How did they keep getting these young bears? And how are these bears reaching the road? Because under the Wildlife Protection Act of 1972, sloth bears have a very high degree of protection. They have the same level of protection as a tiger or an elephant. But how are they being used on these streets? And so it took us about 2.5 years to uncover this whole practice. There were 1,200 bears across India. The communities were directly communicating with poachers and harvesting baby bears from the forest. The mother bears were also being killed, and the body parts were being trafficked for illegal use, and for the Chinese and Southeast Asian market for bear gallbladder, Chinese traditional medicine, and things like that. Please move to the next slide. So our goal was to try and assist the government in tackling this. I must express my gratitude to the Ministry of Environment and Forests and the Central Zoo Authority, who played a very important role right from 1999 and 2000. These were the initial days when Central Zoo Authority was just starting, and we had Mr. P.R. Sinha and S.C. Sharma, who were the first people who started the Central Zoo Authority. And since then, we've had an incredible relationship with the Central Zoo Authority, who's always continued to guide us and support us. And by working in partnership with the Government of India, the Ministry of Environment and Forests, and the Central Zoo Authority, of course, we were able to connect and collaborate with various state forest departments. So we started our work in Uttar Pradesh, and we established India's largest and the world's largest bear rehabilitation center in Agra. And this is the first bear that we rescued. The photo on the left is how the bear came in before. And then on the right, you can see once we took off the ropes, we did all the surgeries, we did the medication, the treatment. These bears were in very bad shape and they were rescued. And the rehabilitation process was very, very long. And it took a toll on us emotionally, but also on the bears. But we were able to eventually rescue 628 bears across India. And it was very, very challenging. And I can tell you in the next slide. Next slide, please. So this is the community of the Qalandars that we had to work with. Now, many people, including people like Menaka Gandhi, told us, just take the bears and put these people in jail. But we did not want to do that. We wanted to work with the people, because at the end of the day, these were people who depended on these animals, but we had to make a sustainable solution. And the solution was to encourage these people to hand over the bears willingly, so that we could find a sustainable alternative livelihood for the communities. So we started by first educating the children. They had zero literacy initially. So we started by sending the children to school. We paid for their school fees, their books. We taught their women how to become second income earners for their family. We taught them embroidery, cloth repairs, stitching, tailoring, carpet weaving, and things like that, to empower them. So the women became empowered and they became strong. They could stand on their own feet. And then finally, we tackled the men who needed to be given an alternative livelihood. And by working with the women and the children, we were able to make a sustainable difference. It took us 17 years to win their trust, to work with them. But today, when I look back, 30 years ago, a project we started 30 years ago is successful because we went about it the right way. We worked with people, we respected them, we worked with the government, we had the government support and encouragement, and we were able to make a difference. Next slide, please. Next slide, please, Apurva. Thank you. This is a photo of a tailoring center as a part of our skill development effort. So you can see these are girls who were not given any education, any support in their own families. But we came in as people from another community, people from another background altogether. And our goal was to help sloth bear conservation, but in a compassionate way, so that we could also get the people on board. Next slide, please. Finally, we started working with the men. You can see the man here, Amin, surrendered his bear willingly to us. We helped them with seed funds. Once they had surrendered the bear to the forest department, we had an agreement that was signed. The bear was microchipped. And then after that, we helped them by getting them a bank loan, here in this case, you can see Amin got an auto rickshaw, and the seed fund, the advance for the auto rickshaw was paid by us to the bank directly. And Amin was earning about 50 to 100 rupees a day from the bear, but the auto rickshaw helped him earn 600 to 800 rupees a day. So immediately he started benefiting immensely. His family had the support of financial resources. He did not have to beg on the streets anymore, and he could continue to live his life by earning a dignified way for his family. Next slide, please. We use that method for about 3,000 families across India. So with a combination of handholding, skill development, seed funding, and alternative livelihood programs, we were able to move this project onward to a point where people started respecting the work that we were doing, and they did not think that we were working with the government to confiscate the bears only, but we were trying to find a way that was sustainable. And you can see photos here of our the manager who handles the Qalandar program, Rakhi Sharma. She is based in Rajasthan, and these are all various shops that were established with Qalandar families to strengthen them financially. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned, this is a very big conservation success story wherein nearly 700 bears were rescued, and the illegal practice of dancing bears, poaching of bears, and their use in a way that did not bring respect to India. Wildlife SOS and I and my team, we're all very big patriots, and we believe that India has to have a very respectable image. This was a very important thing to stop a very bad practice, a barbaric and a brutal practice that continued for a long time. And we were able to bring an end to this. So it is a very large conservation success story, which was only possible because we had the guidance of the Central Zoo Authority, the Government of India, Ministry of Environment and Forests. We collaborated with several zoos across India, and to date, we have a very good relationship with many zoos across India, in Karnataka, Jharkhand, Bihar, UP, Rajasthan, and many states. And without the support of the state forest departments and the police and the ground enforcement agencies and agencies like the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau, we would not have been able to bring a successful end to this practice. So I would like to thank all of these agencies in helping us. But it also goes to show how, if we all work together in a unified way with government agencies, with zoos, everyone has a role to play in achieving a good success story in terms of conservation. Next slide, please. Now, while we had addressed the main issue of the community that was harvesting these bears, we also had to take the assistance of enforcement agencies to address the poaching that was going on unabated every year. About 200 sloth bear cubs were being removed each year from the forests, and this had to be addressed. So I would like to say that here again, we had incredible support from the state forest departments, the police departments across India. This was happening in every state from Andhra Pradesh, Tamil Nadu, Karnataka, all the way up to Uttarakhand almost. And so we had to work in multiple states at the same time to address this. And I would like to call out the names of some of the incredible staff that helped us and some amazing officers who also helped us, like Dr. S.P. Yadav, who recently retired as the Additional Director General. He was also in charge of NTCA. From the day he was a DFO in Agra, he had given us incredible support. So from then on, we've had his guidance and his support. And also we've had a lot of support from the Central Zoo Authority in moving bears, rescuing them, and shifting them between places. Of course, incredible team support from our own teams, our veterinary doctors, Dr. Ilya Raja, our Director, Veterinary Services, Dr. Arun, Baiju Raj, who's our Director, Conservation Projects. All of these played an immense role, and Geeta Seshamani, who's our co-founder, led the whole effort with the Qalandars, but also our anti-poaching efforts had to be really, it had to have razor-sharp edges to gather intelligence through our informer network, pass the intelligence on to the Wildlife Crime Control Bureau and the police and the forest department agencies, and then coordinate that raid to ensure that we could rescue those bear cubs in time. And then poachers and traders who were actively trading in these animals were arrested, and the government authorities took action against them to ensure that the news spread like wildfire, so these offenses would not be repeated again and again. To this day, Wildlife SOS sends our legal prosecution teams to assist various state forest departments in such efforts in the prosecution of wildlife offenses. Next slide, please. Now, this is a screenshot from a video of a trader in Karnataka in a district called Gadag, who was selling these cubs. Now, these cubs were being offered for sale anywhere from 40,000 to 80,000 back in the day. And it was cases like this that we had to gather intelligence on and then pass it on to the forest department and work with them to ensure that we could take action. And in one such case, in 2005, we were able to take assistance from the forest department and the police, and we were able to rescue these cubs. But then at that point of time, the amazing cooperation and coordination between Central Zoo Authority, state forest departments, they were able to give us permission to move these cubs because there was no rescue center in Karnataka at that point of time. So we were able to fly these bears. By those days, there was Jet Airways, and we were able to fly them and bring them to Agra, look after them. And then eventually, we were able to establish another bear rescue center in Karnataka, in Bangalore, where we have over 70 bears that are currently under our care. The Agra Bear Rescue Center has about 100 bears currently. Next slide, please. So Wildlife SOS also works with brown bears and Asiatic black bears in Kashmir. And this project came about because we got reports of over 780 people who've been attacked by Asiatic black bears in the apple orchards in Kashmir. And it was very important for some kind of intervention to assist the Wildlife Protection Department of Jammu and Kashmir to try and find a solution that would be that would solve the problem, but also help mitigate the growing conflict between black bears and humans in Kashmir. So currently we run 2 facilities in Kashmir in collaboration with the J&K government and the Wildlife Protection Department for brown bears and black bears. And we hope that in the future, more efforts can be undertaken to help reduce the conflict much more. Next slide, please. Now, this is a new problem that we've been facing in the last couple of years. Himalayan brown bears are now attracted to a lot of garbage and trash that are being disposed of by pilgrims and tourists who go to Sonmarg. This is a photo that you see on the left side at Sonmarg, where there are huge mountains of food waste and trash and garbage that is thrown. So you can see sometimes up to 13 brown bears in one place, all feeding off this garbage. And that is regretfully changed their whole hibernation pattern. These bears now do not hibernate any longer. Instead, they just hang around near the trash. So Wildlife SOS is working with the team over there, the Forest Department, the Wildlife Protection Department team. We've been able to radio collar some of the brown bears to try and understand what kind of mitigation measures we can put up. Because some of them go into villages, they get into hotels, they raid their garbage cans, their kitchens, and things like that. And the photo on the right shows you 2 of our team members, Swaminathan, who's our senior biologist, and one of our field team members over there, who are putting up camera traps to document the movement of these bears. So hopefully we can find a solution to prevent these bears from attacking humans. Next slide, please. This is just in passing. Wildlife SOS also works with leopards. We do a lot of conflict mitigation. We teach people avoidance behavior for bears, for leopards, both black bears, sloth bears, as well as for brown bears. But again, with leopards, we run a rescue center in Maharashtra called Junner. And again, this is in collaboration with the Forest Department of Maharashtra. And currently we have over 35 leopards in our care that we constantly protect. And we also do a lot of education and awareness in the local areas to prevent increasing and scaling up of conflict between people and leopards. Next slide, please. One of the big work that we have to undertake, this is a very important and ambitious goal that we had to take on. A lot of leopard cubs were being found in sugarcane fields across Maharashtra. And the farmers would take away the cubs and hand it over to the forest department, and these cubs would end up living in captivity. As it is, I think all of us as zoo people know that there are a lot of leopards in zoos. We do not need more leopards in zoos. There are no takers as of now. And these cubs are better off with their mothers. So Wildlife SOS team in the ground in Maharashtra works closely with the farmers, with the forest department to try and put these cubs back in the same place. We worked out a mechanism by which we are able to attract that mother leopard back, and she's able to pick up the cub and go away. If you go to the Wildlife SOS YouTube, you can see videos of the reunion that is happening quite effectively. And we've been able to reunite over 100 cubs back with their mothers. This means that is that much less load on the zoos across India and in Maharashtra to look after these cubs. Next slide, please. So this is a open wells conservation project. One of the problems that we have in Maharashtra is that there are about 14,000 open wells, and these leopards keep falling into these wells. As a result, they drown. In many cases, they are barely able to survive, and then when they recover, they're so badly injured or require rehabilitation, they end up having to be treated. So we work in collaboration with the local farmers who own the wells and the forest department and the local Gram Samaj and the Panchayat, by which we've been able to cover these wells. And it costs about 2 lakhs to cover each well, and we've been able to cover about 10 to 14 wells so far. But our target is to cover about 40 wells each year, if we can, by working in collaboration with the local agencies. Apurva, how are we doing for time?
So generally it is 40 minutes, but you can extend, that won't be an issue.
No, I don't want to go over because this is elephants. I had only planned to speak primarily about sloth bears, but I can very briefly mention, maybe 5 minutes, I can just wrap it up because I don't want you to go over time, right? Have you crossed 40 minutes already?
Not yet, sir.
Okay, how many minutes do I have?
10, 15.
Okay, great. I will go on then.
Yeah.
So while we had solved our problem with sloth bears, Wildlife SOS realized that we had an opportunity to try and help elephants because it was the next big glaring problem in India. We had a lot of growing conflict between humans and elephants, but at the same time, we also have an issue with elephants in captivity. We have over 3,500 elephants in captivity across India, and we realized that the management mechanism for elephants across India uses very ancient systems. And there are better systems available to manage elephants in captivity. So this is something we realized, and our goal was to try and create a living, breathing example of a rehabilitation and a care center for elephants that need treatment, elephants that are old, elephants that are infected with diseases, elephants that are injured, handicapped, crippled. And so in 2009, we started our efforts to create India's first elephant hospital and elephant conservation and care center. Next slide, please. So this is the center we established in 2010, about 15 years ago. And this center focuses on providing a lot of care for geriatric elephants, elephants that are injured, crippled, handicapped, blind, and elephants that need a lot of care and cannot work. So we created a mechanism, and today this has become a very valuable educational platform and a training platform. I'm proud to say that the Wildlife Institute of India and the FRI and several other departmental agencies are using our platform and collaborating with us to showcase how elephant care can be carried on along with our Bear Center and provide care in a humane manner without having to use the old school brutal practices that are commonly used to train and manage elephants. Next slide, please. So this is also the India's first hospital that we established in 2018. The building on the left side is the hospital. It's about 12,000 square feet. And we are also in the process of building another one now. The ambulance that you see is the first elephant ambulance that was created in India to move elephants. And again, that has a lot of facilities inside it to transport about 10 to 12 staff, as well as doctors, medical equipment, and an elephant. Inside it, it has its own inbuilt showers to keep the elephant cool in summer. And we can use a cover in winter to keep the elephant warm if it's very cold. It also has its own generator and its own mechanisms for using computers and things like that inside it. Next slide, please.
Yeah, now I just go straight.
Yeah.
This is also a hydrotherapy pool that we have. Unfortunately, this was a video. This is not going to work, but you can go to the Wildlife SOS YouTube and perhaps see our hydrotherapy pool. But it basically helps address a lot of muscular ailments for the elephants that come to us with those issues. Next slide, please. I think we have to move through some of these slides. There are repeats. We don't need to go through all. Yeah, this is good. So this is the kind of medical care that we provide, the elephants that come to us. Foot care, wound care, laser therapy, portable x-ray. So a lot of the medical equipment that we use in today's day is modern, and everything from digital radiology to acupuncture, acupressure, Ayurvedic massages, a lot of foot care work, and thermal imaging. The photo that you see on the right side is thermal imaging, bottom right, and on the left is digital radiography. But foot care is really top priority for captive elephants. And you can see Dr. Rahul on the left top image, removing some pebbles and glass pieces from the foot pad of one of the elephants that has come to us for treatment. And what we have found is that these elephants are quite fragile and delicate. And if we cannot address these in a timely manner, it can sometimes be fatal for these animals. Next slide, please. Nutrition is also a very important key area that we focus on at our facilities. And enrichment for our rescued elephants is very, very important. We ensure that our veterinary team calibrates a very careful diet for each elephant, and it's a mixture of vegetables, fruits, as well as green fodder. So we ensure that the right balance of roughage is provided alongside the concentrate food as well, and exercise. Now, for example, the photo that you see on the right side, where the elephant is lifting its neck to access the enrichment, that is a very important muscular exercise for the neck, because in the forest, elephants reach up with their trunks and reach down and they stretch and they do a lot of exercise involuntarily in order to access tree branches. But in captivity, if we do only stall feeding, it's a huge lack of muscular range of exercises that we are depriving them of. And that causes muscle atrophy. So it's very important that we provide all of these range of motions for elephants. Next slide, please. So one of the other things that Wildlife SOS also does is this is to address human-elephant conflict. And the only way to mitigate conflict is by knowing where these elephants are moving. And if you can predict the movement of these herds of elephants, it can be a lifesaver by addressing and alerting the people in the communities who live near the forest. So this is an intervention that Wildlife SOS was able to do in Chhattisgarh by working in collaboration with the Chhattisgarh Forest Department. So there was this herd of elephants that had come into Chhattisgarh from Odisha, and we call it the Dwan Devi herd. And that photo that you see on the left side is a tranquilized elephant. So our veterinary team, Dr. Arun and Dr. Ilayaraja, had gone there with our senior biologist, Swaminathan, who you can all see them in the photo. And they have managed to achieve standing sedation for this elephant, after which the elephant is blindfolded. So this is a very risky operation. They can easily get killed because there are other elephants around. So it has to be done very carefully. And it took them weeks and weeks of tracking these herds on the ground, on foot. And then after that, you can see they are putting on the GPS collar. And once that is installed, the screen on the right shows you the software of that collar, which gives you movement of the elephant herd and that matriarch every 2 hours. And with that, we are able to pinpoint the location of these elephants and which direction they are going in. And by collaborating with the forest department and the local radio channel, we are able to ensure that the local communities all know the direction the herd is moving in. And this helps alert people so they can save their property and their lives. And the reason we got into Chhattisgarh was in a period of, I think, 1 year, we ended up seeing that there were over 90 human fatalities because of wild elephants. And that is why we intervened in that area, and we were able to successfully address that issue over there. Next slide, please. And like I said, our elephant hospital functions as a very valuable training platform. And we can see senior staff from the Jabalpur University as well as Dr. Ilayaraja over there. And I think they're addressing a team of forest department staff currently. So this supports conservation efforts. It's also very important to share whatever knowledge we have. And so we believe in transparency and sharing everything possible so that we can build capacity across India. Next slide, please. Thank you. That was it. I hope I didn't go over time. If anybody has questions that I'm not able to answer during the session, please feel free to email me. My email is here. It's karthik@wildlifesos.org.
Thank you so much, sir, for the presentation.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Participants, if anyone has their question, they can unmute themselves or write it in chat box.
Yeah, actually, I do have some questions. I need to share with only Satyanarayana, so I'll just mail them out. So really sensitive information about the Asian elephants. Hello?
Thank you, Mr. Jangir.
Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah.
Any other participants, if they have any questions, they can unmute themselves and ask. Till then, I'll take some questions. So what inspired you to co-found Wildlife SOS?
Well, I must say that, right from a very young age, I've always been very fascinated with nature and wildlife. And as a child growing up, I would, chase snakes and butterflies and find all kinds of animals. And I realized at a very young age that, we use nature all the time. We harvest things from nature, but we never give anything back. And for that reason, I realized that in this lifetime, I wanted to try and contribute to protecting wildlife and nature rather than anything else. And that was the reason that I decided to start Wildlife SOS at a very young age. By age 17, this decision was already made in my head. So it was very clear, and I've been very lucky that the universe has been very supportive, and I've been able to follow my passion and my dream always.
So, can you share a key experience from your journey that you will never forget in your life? Maybe good and bad.
Yes, of course.
And elephants.
Certainly. No, I remember doing research. I was a field biologist working in Nagarhole in 1992. And I was in the field. I was walking a trail in the forest, gathering data on droppings of various species of animals. and we spotted a sloth bear. And I had an assistant with me, and he just said "Karadi" in Kannada, and he climbed a tree and went off. And I was left in the middle of the forest, and I knew that the bear would attack me because we were only 4 meters from the bear. And I thought, okay, this is going to be dangerous. And it flashed in my mind because I'd seen many victims of sloth bear attacks. And usually the bear swipes at you if you're at close quarters and the bear feels cornered, and you will end up losing your scalp or your face or your eyes or something like that. So I had to choose, was I going to let the bear attack me on my face or my back? So I turned around and gave it my back, thinking that, okay, a back is easier, it's less painful than a face. And I thought, at least if I don't lose an eye, I can still get to hospital. And the bear did not attack me. It came to about 1 meter away and it charged, but it left me intact and went away. It did not even make contact. And that showed me how, by following the right behavior patterns, by understanding animal behavior, you can easily avoid getting into a negative interaction with wildlife. And these have been one of my very valuable lessons that I took away from that forest that day. And I always say that we have to respect wildlife and treat them with care and dignity, and that will always hold us in good stead.
Okay, sir. And since you work a lot with communities, as you explained, what role do public awareness and community involve to get to the success you feel?
Public awareness is an irreplaceable thing. We absolutely have to collaborate with local communities. We have to educate children in schools. Education and conservation efforts play a very important role to develop compassion in the minds of youngsters. And if people cannot be compassionate and they don't love nature and they can't love wildlife and protect them, I think it will not be possible to save our planet anymore, or our wildlife. And I think the Central Zoo Authority has done a very important thing by introducing volunteering programs in all zoos. And I think every zoo should collaborate with the local schools, and all rescue centers should invite local people to come and learn about the species and make eco clubs and things like that. And I think that is really a very important way of moving forward to change mindsets. Because the biggest problem we have today is intolerance. And when people become intolerant towards animals and they start saying, "Saamp hai, isko maar do, bhalu aa gaya, isko bhaga do, hathi aa gaya, isko jala do," if they start addressing wildlife issues that way, I think it can become a very, very dangerous downturn for us.
So as you are involved in multiple policy matters with Indian government or forest department, what are the key policy changes that you suggest that will bring changes in the conservation of wildlife?
I think working in partnership with local communities is an important aspect. And I think it's very important that the government encourages and partners with non-government organizations, conservation bodies, and creates as many opportunities like you have today created this opportunity. I think such opportunities to try and get a lot of information exchange is very, very critical. And like Wildlife Institute of India brings their students, their trainees, etc., to our centers. Similar to that, if there are more exchange opportunities, like Central Zoo Authority also starts doing these workshops in different zoos each year, multiple zoos, etc., multiple rescue centers. I think these will really start changing the way people look at wildlife. They don't think that wildlife is something that has to be only addressed by the forest department. Currently, if an elephant goes into a village, the local people start attacking the forest department saying, "Ye aapka hathi hai, isko le jao." It is not the forest department's elephant. The elephant belongs to all of us. Wildlife belongs to everybody. That is the wealth of India, and we need to see it as wealth and protect it.
So Sahil Rajak, one of the participants, is asking, how can we join Wildlife SOS for internship, or how can we be part of it?
or they can send an application to us. info@wildlifesos.org is the email address, and they can apply for internship. We do offer internships to people. We also have volunteering opportunities, so people can come and volunteer and learn about all these things. So yes, they can email us and we will be more than happy. Our team will respond and give them the necessary information to take that forward.
Okay. And so, what are your future plans and goals with Wildlife Resource and Elephant Hospital that you have?
Our future plans are to continue to play a very important role to assist organizations like the Central Zoo Authority. Any zoo that would like to partner with us or collaborate with us, we're always there to and only too willing to come and be of assistance in any way, whether it's enforcement, enrichment, whether it's training, education, anything at all, we'll be more than happy to collaborate with. And we certainly, I see Wildlife SOS becoming more sustainable in the future, so that we can continue to create more examples across India, where people can find solution-oriented approach to things. I find that very often we end up blaming, blaming the problem and not finding a solution. Instead, if we have a solution-oriented approach, we can easily find solutions for any problems that exist. And I do believe that nothing is impossible.
Anand Kumar is saying, hi Karthik, great presentation. Please carry on the great work that you do and your organization is doing.
Thank you, Anand Kumarji. I appreciate it. Those words mean a lot. Thank you for your encouragement.
Participants, if you have any questions, you can unmute yourself and ask or write it in chat box.
I'd like to use this opportunity, Apurva, to thank the Central Zoo Authority again for this wonderful opportunity and yourself for your patience, and also invite all the participants from various zoos across India and from Central Zoo Authority to please plan a visit to come and see our Bear Rescue Center and our Elephant Hospital. Whenever you all have a chance, please connect with us and we will be more than happy to facilitate the visit.
Sure, so it was my pleasure also to have you today here with us. So with your permission, I don't think there is any more questions from participants. Can I proceed with a vote of thanks?
Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we conclude this insightful episode of Zooming Conservation, I would like to extend a heartfelt vote of thanks to our esteemed guest, Karthik Satyanarayan. So, your tireless dedication to wildlife conservation, particularly in rescuing and rehabilitation of sloth bears, is truly inspiring. Your innovative approaches and leadership have made a significant impact on welfare of these animals and fostered a great awareness and appreciation in the field of wildlife conservation in India and beyond India also. So, audience, I hope you found this session both very informative and motivating. Please be connected to us to learn more about on-ground conservations about multiple species that we are trying to capture in this session. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Apurva.
Thank you, sir.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.